The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Glory to you, O Lord. Many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them about their brother Lazarus, who had died. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him, but Mary sat at home. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise." Martha said to him, "I know he will rise in the resurrection on the last day." Jesus told her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, even if he dies, will live. And anyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" She said to him, "Yes, Lord, I have come to believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, the one who is coming into the world." The Gospel of the Lord. It's a great little gospel passage. It might be my favorite. It might be my favorite gospel passage, but it's a great little gospel passage, and we celebrate today what is now the feast of, or the memorial of, Saints Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. This was until this year, in fact, just the feast of Saint Martha, and won't dig around too much in that. I mean, it's interesting, but it's not. I don't know. It's not that compelling. It's not that ripe for either instruction or application, I think. So that's curiosity. If you're curious, then you can find. But it's great. The feast of Jesus's close friends at Bethany, and I think it's good because any opportunity we have to see Jesus as he is, and to see him, say, through that lens of friendship, especially, I think it's really powerful, and it's too much to focus on Martha, even though this is like Martha, but it's too it's an obligatory Martha reference in the feast. Okay, so thank you, but it's a bit too much to focus on Martha, because Jesus encounters this loving and welcoming home of Bethany. Jesus cries over the death of Lazarus, his friend. Right? He weeps. This kind of like a weeping, like an uncontrollable sobbing. Like that. I mean, I think that's got to be the mark of real friendship, right? I mean, Jesus is mourning over the death of his friend. There's so much going on in this passage. I mean, when Martha comes out to meet Jesus, she knows that his journey to them, or his arrival, is at least a day or two late. Like he's not on time, and there's this, like, you can almost feel this. Some kind of, I don't know, like there's a question in Martha that is expressed, but also is expressed in a reserved way, like, if you had been here. And it's not simply like, if you had been here, like if you happened to be living here, or if you that kind of like circumstantial, it's like, if you had been here, in the sense of you likely could have been here. I mean, there's this, you can feel this this interpersonal tension, and think about how good that is, right? I mean, it's not good for Martha to be having that experience, but how good it is for her to be able to bring that experience to Jesus, right? Someone who can make this profession of faith, which is really in every way out of this world, right? I have come to believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, the one who is coming into the world. And she doesn't pull back at all when Jesus says what might otherwise be to people on the outside looking in to be an outlandish statement. I am the resurrection and the life. Okay, so I mean, and let's put it in some context here, right? This back and forth is brilliant, because it's exactly what we need to live into also as Christians. But and then let me pull back on the interpersonal again. But here, right, we see Lord, if you have been here, so on and so forth, okay, your brother will rise. I know he will rise. I know he will rise in the resurrection on the last day. Yes, that's exactly right. So this is the context of, say, the life and times of Jesus, is that, yes, resurrection on the last day. So yes, God's ultimate sorting out of things, putting everything to rights, including human hearts and minds, right? This kind of embellishment of beauty and of justice and of God's glory dwelling among his people, but then say a no to the corrupting forces of sin and death, right? This is the new heavens and the new earth promised by God and coming to life. So yes, the resurrection on the last day, right? She says it clearly. Yes, on the last day. Now Jesus says, I am the resurrection and the life. So that future reality of God, I am bringing to life in the present. Right? So the beginning of that, the movement that will move us towards, God's promised age of glory and prosperity, of holiness, of justice, of peace, true prosperity for all peoples, the rest. Yes, but here and now, yes, in me. That's Jesus's claim. I mean, that's the gospel claim. God's promised future is coming to life in the present. And that's happening there. And guess what? That's happening here and now as well. Right? Heaven is not like this kind of like we're playing this game of delayed gratification or something, as though we're being stretched out morally in order to reach those heights later on. That's not the way it is. God's promised future is available to us in the present, say, in and as Jesus of Nazareth, and then through and with and in Jesus of Nazareth. That's God's promised future is coming to life here and now. And we're called to live that, say, life life freed from the ravages of sin and death, right? That Jesus' resurrection, we're called to live that life now. We're called to live on the other side of the death divide now, right? So anyway, that's the context, okay? But now the interpersonal reality is so important for us to get this right, because this exchange between Martha and Jesus is very important for us. It's decisively important for us, because this, if you had been here, is so often where we find ourselves to be. And if not, like, actually in prayer with Jesus, and I imagine that we do, in our kind of conceiving of who God is and what he's up to, and how all of this stuff, including my life and the things that are going on in the world around me, how this is all caught up in God's story. We often come to him with this, like, if you had been here, like this kind of like, I don't get what you're up to, right? Like, what took you so long? And we say that with like the open-endedness of the whole thing, which is like, why aren't you doing something about this? What's going on? Where are you? Right? So, but look at that what's going on between them, and then follow that scene to Lazarus's grave, where this man, this has again said, I don't want to claim this for myself, as Saint Josemaria says, this divine madman goes from here to weep at the grave of Lazarus, his friend. Is that in your conception of God? Is that how you think of God? Because you should. Because that's who he's revealed himself to be. Likely you think of the God of philosophers. I don't know why this is. I think it's because... No, I don't know why it is, actually. So you have to tell me later on why this is. But we tend to think maybe it's because culturally and the Enlightenment and whatever, and so like the image of the deist conception of God is still too strong for us to hold back to, right? Is that this idea of God, like he doesn't have much to do with us at all. He's kind of aloof and all this kind of thing, and he's not moved to emotion. He's not. I don't know. You get what I'm saying. That tends to be our conception of God, but this is who God has revealed himself to be. It's Jesus. It's God enters into dialogue here with Martha. And he allows himself to be gently rebuked by Martha. Now, he doesn't take her on that level. He pushes her beyond, inviting her into his story so that she can find her place in God's plan, right? But the whole thing is remarkable. That's our God. That's our God. So we can, in this sense, we have Martha as our role model, right? Our example, because she's willing to take her concerns to God, to the God that she knows as Jesus of Nazareth. We have to bring ourselves before Jesus. And this is an act of entrusting herself to him. Right? She's entrusting herself, she's entrusting her concerns to Jesus. That's what we have to do. To bring our whole selves to Jesus. And then we have to allow him to say what he says here. I am the resurrection and the life. Right? Which tends to mean I'm operating on a little different plane than you are. You're invited to join me. I want you to come along. But you're perhaps still stuck in this, this kind of binary either-or reality of, kind of flat, I want to say more like flat horizontal living. Like you're living in the world of, only political or only human solutions. I'm inviting you into the plan and purpose of God. I'm inviting you to participate in my own life, in God's own life. And then we say yes. and that's it. But we have to come to Jesus in these hyper-personal terms. We have to come to him. We have to give him our hearts. We have to pledge to him our lives, and that's how he's going to draw us into God's promised future now, and he's going to make us agents of God's promised future now. Because that's what we celebrate today. And we celebrate that, of course, today in the context of friendship. Right? It's Jesus is finding a home in Bethany, right? It's Jesus' being surrounded by the love of his friends. And if we're friends in the true sense, I know that friends with Jesus was this weird, very superficial kind of thing. No, like if we're friends with Jesus in the deep sense, then we will come to not only know the love of God, but we will be better able to extend that love in truly personal terms to all the people that he entrusts to our care.